I'll just hold it up to the screen.
Yeah, I only have the one I write on.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Regular meeting of the Park Board of Commissioners, agenda and order of business, Thursday, May 6, 2021, at 5:15 p.m. Open meeting law. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Roll call of commissioners.
Jeffrey Sullivan.
Amber Burns.
Helen Rigo?
Joseph De Silva. Commissioner Farris is not here yet. Acceptance of minutes from the April 5th, 2021 meeting.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Sylvia made the motion, Commissioner Rigo seconded it. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Citizen input, was there any citizen input? Anybody here for citizen input? Okay. New business. I want to make a motion to move items J and K. Oh, well, that's what I'm asking. One of them can make a motion.
I'll make a motion, to take items J and K out of order.
Okay? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Pirano and John?
Hey everyone.
Good evening.
The first thing is tree removal at 318 Lincoln Avenue. This is to accommodate a curb cut application.
Any request coming forward from council yet? Okay.
I'm not sure if the curb cut has, to be honest with you. I sent over the application. It's my understanding that they paid the fee.
What's the condition of the tree, please? Anybody look at it?
I haven't looked at it recently. It's in fair condition. Not the healthiest tree, but not the worst tree in the city.
Commissioner, I could get you the information as to whether the curb cut's already been done. The application date is 4/7. That was a month ago, almost to the day, so
They haven't done it yet.
they haven't done it yet. The council hasn't approved it, or they haven't done the curb cut?
They haven't done the curb cut.
Correct, but the council very well may have approved this at their last meeting, so I can get you confirmation on that.
Chris, what's your recommendation?
I think we should accommodate the curb cut removal, and if we have questions about whether or not the council has approved, maybe we just have it pending council approval. If the council doesn't approve, we keep the tree. If the council approves the curb cut, we'll remove it.
Make a motion to remove the tree regarding the request of the curb, pending that it's been approved by the council.
Is the tree still healthy?
It's in fair condition. It's not the healthiest, it's not the worst condition tree in the city.
All right, I'll second it.
Okay. Commissioner Sylvia made the motion, Commissioner Farias, Commissioner Rigo seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, item K, cemetery expansion.
All right, so we come to you tonight with the, pretty much the final draft of the design and bid package, so from our engineers to go out to bid. I think in your package you received the drawings, the bid package, which was quite extensive, almost 145 pages, as well as the cost estimates from our engineer and consultant. I also left on your seats today both our current rates and proposed rates moving forward, and what those rates would return as far as the proposed number of graves in the expansion. So I guess what we're here for tonight is to get approval to go out to bid so we can get this project into the construction phase.
Is that a question?
Commissioner Sawyer. Commissioner Sylvia, you had a question?
Yeah, was there any significant changes, Chris?
No. One of I think one of the additions was the final use of the historic urns. So the use is going to be in the corners, the left and right corner of the expansion. They're going to put in a paved plaza, elevated and surrounded with trees and plantings. Install the urns in a type of berm, earth berm, and then plant some type of native plantings in those that we would maintain throughout the year. So it would reincorporate those urns. It would give a space of quiet reflection and seating area in this design. So that was, I think, the biggest change, but they did speak to that in their presentation a few months ago.
Where's that gonna be around?
The left and right corners, they're gonna do two, where the circular patios are,
You see it?
in the far left and far right at the top of the
Right.
page.
Right over here?
Yes.
Yep.
And how many are we looking at?
How many?
How many
Grave
planters?
spaces?
Planters
Oh,
or urns?
they're not sure yet. They're gonna catalog the condition of each of the urns as they install them. And they did put in a line item, I think, to purchase some additional ones, if they need to fill in the space a little more.
No, if there's any left over, are we gonna put them anywhere else in the cemetery? Maybe like for Boy Scouts or anything?
We'll find
to do?
somewhere for them.
I just don't wanna.
No,
leave
yeah,
them
no,
somewhere.
once this project complete, if it came down to the using
I
the
wanna,
ones
like,
that
put
were
this-
maybe.
Put this to rest,
Right.
finally.
Right, we will use them all, regardless of whether it all encompasses in this area, which we'd like to see, so hopefully there are enough of them in good condition that we can fill that space. If we did have to go out and get some that are similar to those that are in better condition, then we'll use the ones that are maybe a little more worn somewhere else. We will incorporate every urn we have into the cemetery, I can assure you of that.
Chris,
what
what's
about-
what's a niche opening?
So the niche opening is the opening of the columbarium niche. So we installed columbariums already at the cemetery behind the office. So the niche opening is the opening of that door and providing the burial service, or the interment service, rather.
Thank you.
No problem.
Now, we could even put some like near the new expansion that we just did, right?
We have an aspect in this document here to add those to this project. I know there was some concern as to whether they would marry to what the look is, but the space, I believe, is assigned for that, but we don't necessarily have to. They're as an add-on alternate, as we call them in the contract. So if we
No, I was
decide to
saying
go
is-
forward with them.
I'm saying is like the last expansion that we did on the opposite side. Can we put some of them urns in that area?
Oh, you want urns? The niches, I thought you were talking
No, no,
about
not
the
urns.
columbariums.
The
Yeah, I
urns.
mean, we could use some of those urns to dress that area up if that's where you'd like to
Yeah.
see the remainder of them go, certainly.
To piggyback off the niche walls.
Right.
In the bid package, they're putting one set, so two columbarium units in the middle. So if you're looking at the drawing, the middle pathway there that kind of almost lines up with Laburnum Avenue, they're proposing putting the niches there as well as two obelisks. And then the add alternates will be the one to the left and right at Hawkweed at Citron Avenues. And deciding whether or not we want to move forward with those when the prices come in.
And I think, just seeing the trend of burials and how they're going, there's a lot more cremation these days than there used to be. So I think this is a necessary aspect to this project, and it's just gonna add to the lifespan of the cemetery.
How many are we putting in right now?
Well, in the base plan, it would be,
Overall graves or niches?
The niches, the
Two now in the plan, and
Yeah.
then there's 2 at alternate. So if we decided we wanted to put 2 more, that space will be available.
Because I know at the meeting, we were talking about how much they cost.
Yeah, we don't have to go with all 4. I think the 2 for now is something that we should incorporate into it. So, you know, anybody who wants to get buried or interred into that new expansion area will be able to have the option. And then if we see that that's filling up quickly, we have the other space for the 2 add-ons.
Now, the first 2 are going in the 2 corners?
In the middle.
in the
In
middle.
the middle?
Yep.
In the middle, all right.
They're 2 separate units that form Ls on both sides of the plaza.
That'll be kind of like the centerpiece
Okay.
with the obelisks.
In the cost estimate that you have, the cost estimate includes the expense of purchasing all the niche units. So that number incorporates all 6, or the 3 sets of 6 units. So that number would come down if we decide not to move forward with all of them when the ad alternates proposed.
You probably answered this question before in the past, I think before, but I don't recall, but you refresh my memory. What's this gonna add to the life of the cemetery?
So,
Well, 80 years or?
I mean, the estimate with just 1 set of niche walls gives us around 20 years at our current rate. 20 years of burial space. That can vary just based off of, you know, if people are purchasing lots for, you know, our sale rate is different than our burial rate, but it should last us 25 years worth of sales, 20 to 25 years of sales.
I know you did a lot of work on this, and you have been doing a lot of work for the last few months. I appreciate the effort that you put in. And I've been supporting this as we go along, and I'll continue to support it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I'll make a motion.
No, I still have some questions.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Perry, when I talked to you earlier,
Mm.
you said that Pop Board is in control of 2 accounts for the cemetery.
Correct.
Perpetual care and sale of grave. What do we
Sale of
have?
lots.
Oh, sale of lots, sorry.
Mhm. I believe Chris has that information.
What do we have in both accounts?
So as of April 22nd, the sale of lots has $374,686.
374, what?
$374,686.20.
Okay, and
Perpetual care has $1,649,659.
1 million what? I'm sorry.
$1,649,659.66.
So the total price for this project would be $1 million,
That's if we did all
All 4?
3 sets
all 3 cents.
of the niche units.
Okay.
If we were to just do 1, the cost estimate comes down to $856,000
Okay.
with the contingency.
All right. You said sale of lots is only 3,000?
$374,000.
374,000, all right, sorry. My only thing is, I don't want to like wipe out perpetual care. God forbid, we have something, God forbid, happens down at North Burial or any of our other cemeteries.
This does not include the North Burial accounts. Those are separate accounts. So North
Okay.
Burial has its own account.
Okay.
And then I believe the two of the other smaller cemeteries also have
Okay.
other accounts as well. So it doesn't include those numbers.
All right, all right. So I was gonna say, I would like to take some from each account, but if you're comfortable with that, and I don't want to,
Yeah. and I
once
think-
we start this, then all of a
Yeah.
sudden we have a problem, and we're looking for money afterwards.
And I think, you know, even when there was some prior members on this board, the concern about perpetual care and what's spent out of it, how it was spent out of it, how those projects are approved has come up. So I think it's been very in the consciousness of all of the board members. So I know that the board's gonna be careful going forward. We don't come back and ask a lot of times for perpetual care. So I think we're gonna use this, we're gonna do what we need to do as far as this expansion, get us a longer lifespan for the cemetery, and then just start to replenish those funds. And you can look at the overall value, even if we didn't approve at some point down the road the proposed new rates, we're still gonna generate another $3 million for cemetery funds. So I have no doubt that we'll be able to replenish this. As a matter of fact, I think once this is done and people see the new expansion area, I think you're gonna see an influx in the first few years of Chris pre-selling graves that, you know, we have calls now, we don't pre-sell because we don't have enough. So we do know there's a need for that, there's a market for that. People are looking to be able to pre-sell. So I think we'll see an influx of cash in the first few years, more significant than that. It'll level off after that.
So the money for this is coming from perpetual care?
Correct, Commissioner.
You know how I feel about perpetual
No,
care.
I do, but this is a worthwhile project. This isn't one of the projects that in the past have been suspect or done in the wrong way. We've come to this body multiple times to ensure that everybody knows what we're doing. And this is an instance where we're spending money to ensure that the cemetery has a useful lifespan that's gonna outlast, I think, any of us on this board except for maybe Mrs. Burns. Yeah, Ms. Burns.
It ain't gonna outspend me.
No, you know what, you're right, I'm sorry. You know what, I'm putting my money on you, Commissioner Rigo.
You haven't tried to get money anyplace else for this?
I think this is the funding source. Park Chair
Commissioner?
and I spoke earlier, and I think on the city end of things, what we need to do, and I know what I will continue to advocate for, and the support that we can look for from the city side, is resources for Chris, not only Chris, but the parks as well, and Mrs. Smith, to maintain these things, right? So we'll be looking for an investment in equipment, in manpower, to say, we have X amount of acres more, we need to be able to maintain this. So we'll look for the city to support these projects through that kind of funding, right? Through capital expense and through manpower. And I will continue to advocate for that for both parks and cemetery.
All right.
And this is gonna prevent Oak Grove Cemetery from becoming an inactive cemetery. You know, once a cemetery becomes inactive, it becomes a lot more difficult to maintain. We see that in North Burial Ground, just by our staffing limits. So having Oak Grove around for 20 more years of sales and future burials, make sure that the city is still investing in manpower and equipment, like Mr. Perry was saying, to keep it looking as good as we can.
And one last caveat to that, just so everybody's aware, I think you all are, and if not, then you will be after this. It is a state law that a community provides its residents with a place for burials. So we would be spending a significant amount more if we had to find an open space and create a cemetery from scratch. So I think Oak Grove Cemetery is a historic site. It's a beautiful cemetery. And I think if we can continue to use that and can continue to expand on that and improve it, that's the way we should go. Outside of finding a new area and investing tens of millions probably, this is really the best option.
No, I'm in favor of this, it's just the money wise.
Yeah, no.
Now Chris, you said, Ms. Perano, you said, how much was it without just the one set? 800 and?
856.
856. So you're talking, probably leave us almost half of it.
Yes.
Did you
Plus
agree
the-
with that?
Plus the sale of lot fund.
Yeah. Commissioner?
856.
Would you all right with that?
Yeah, so it'll leave us, it would leave us, commissioners, it would leave us half in the perpetual care account.
Yes.
We would still have the
Exactly.
376 in sale of
And they
lot.
would still have
So
perpetual.
you'd still have $1 million.
And you'd still have, that's just for Oak Grove.
Right.
They would have half that money.
And that's
They
not
still have
counting the North
perpetual care
Burial
for all the rest
account.
of them.
Right.
Does any other commissioners have any questions?
Just one, you know.
Go ahead, Commissioner
on
Silva.
Finances.
Mhm.
We approved this tonight and for that amount of money, and it could always change, correct?
When
If we
you,
find that we don't need certain things, or
We can-
the plan could change because of what's going on, something happens in the future, so we could actually be spending less money
If we,
and doing less
Yeah.
if possible.
Right, so if the board, Chris, myself, and we see that the project is going, we would like to change something or take something out. Now, taking something out is as we can cut out any of those items that we need to fit the cost and the money that we have. But adding to would be where you, there's a 20%, I believe, buffer that you can go over what your contract bid price was. That's not what we're looking to do in any way. If anything, we'd be cutting certain things. And Chris and I,
If we find
Yeah.
where 5 years down the road, just as I'm assuming this is gonna be done, that's not gonna happen all at once.
well, once we go out to bid, I think the construction process is gonna move right along. I'd say probably within a year or two maybe.
But as
we-
it's going on,
Mhm.
if we find, as you said, we don't need this or that,
Mhm.
and we take it out,
Yeah,
it's gonna change the price.
absolutely.
So we may not, at a bottom line, 850 is what we'd be spending, and no more.
Mhm.
But
Correct.
just so you understand, it's 850 with one set of niches, so is the board approving it for one set of niches?
No, we're asking for the entire amount.
Right, so.
We're asking for the entire amount.
And then,
Okay.
can you just reiterate how much would the entire amount be?
1,037,000.
1,037,530.
And that's including the potential 20% increase?
No.
Yeah, that has a 20% contingency built in.
Contingency.
Correct.
Okay. built
That
in.
is correct.
Yeah.
That is
Go
correct.
higher than that.
But I thought we were only, that's to include the four of them?
That's to include all of them if we decide to do it.
All right.
So we would need to approve all of the money, and then if we decided to go with the extra, let's say, for instance, the project is going along, we put the niches in, we install them, the board visits the cemetery and likes the way the niches look, and we say, okay, we'd like to see the other ones because we didn't think it was gonna look good, but now we really like it. Chris and I can go ahead and say, okay, we're gonna order the other ones and we'll install them. But if we like the way the project is going and we decide we don't wanna put those niches, then we can cut that out of the cost. So it's not something that needs to be done, it's only an add-on if we decide we wanted to go with it. But if we don't procure the funds prior to, and then we decide we wanna put 2 more niches, well then we haven't included that in the bid, and we're potentially going to go over what that 20% contingency would be. So that all has to be included, whether we decide to put it in or not, that would be the board's purview.
So John, just because I can see where this is going, would they be able to put the bid with each niche separately so that if it went to a certain amount, they could say, we only want to do 2 niches?
Listen,
That's where I think
at
that's
the end of the
wrong.
day, the money that's going to be approved is going to, this project is going to be managed by Mr. Pirano and myself, but controlled by this board. Okay, so there will be no money spent outside of what this plan shows us without coming to this board for prior approval. So Chris and I wouldn't be able to say to ourselves, okay, I like the way it looks, we're gonna make the decision to put the added niches in. That would come back to this board. And we will stay with you each step of the way and make sure that everybody is updated on what's going on. We will not add anything other than what you see in this package, and it would be the board's purview to decide what the final product looks like as well.
And
So if we were to vote
I think
yes-
what you're asking is the way the bid is written, it's written that in their total package, they will include 1 set of niches, and then they will provide pricing on what the additional niches would be, and then we can choose whether or not to move
Right,
forward.
so that's
it
why
would
I'm
have-
asking for that.
It would have those additional niches separated from the total, so you know exactly.
See, that's what I
So
thought
when
we
the
could
bid
do
comes
is-
back to this board, they can see if we put in 1 niche, it's gonna be this much. If we put in 2 niches, that's what I think that they were looking for.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
thought we
what
were
we
just-
said, though.
I
At the
thought we
end
were,
of-
I thought we were just buying
For.
the 2 for now, and then we could add the other 2 in afterwards.
Yeah. We are.
All right.
We are. That is exactly what we're going to do, yeah. So as the project stands with the 2 niches, right, it would be the million, the 856 and change.
Okay.
If we wanted to add the other ones, it would be the million. But if we secure the funds, we have them there, then the board has the decision to make as to whether they wanted to do that, but the funds are secured and the project has been bid out the right way. If the board decides we don't want to go to them, when the project is over and all the invoices are paid, that money will then be returned back to perpetual care.
And I think we also need to realize it's a difference of $200,000 at this
So
point.
how much
It's
do
like-
you want us to, okay?
$1,037,000.
$1,037,530.45.
So if you were to vote yesterday, my vote would be, you don't go over that by 1 penny.
We wouldn't be able to unless we came to this board anyway. It's a fact.
I will kick in the penny if it does.
Huh?
Listen, Counselor, Commissioner Vigo, I understand your apprehension. I understand your strong feelings about what has happened in the past. But Mr. Pirano and myself have come to this board many times and I believe shown you that we are intent on respecting this board's authority and that we will continue to do that. So I can understand why there's some fear that maybe some things that had happened in the past would happen again. But all we can continue to do is move forward and show you that that's not the case. We're asking you to trust that, you know, we've done our homework, Mr. Pirano's done yeoman's work on this, and I thank him for that. Trust that we have done the best work that we can to ensure that this cemetery survives long past what we're looking at now. And we'll ask for your support again in this project.
That's the only thing I was,
Just so no one can sleep tonight, even if she gives that $1 million, she will have $600,000 in perpetual care still and $600,000 in sale of lots.
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Well, $376,000 in sale of lots. So $1 million total between those two particular accounts, this board will still have control over and use of when they deem it's necessary.
that's the only thing I was getting confused was I didn't know we had to have the whole million up front. I thought we could just buy them afterwards.
Yeah, well, because if then you end up running the chance that if you wanted to add those, you're going over the bid amount, and that's not what the companies that are gonna give us bid prices on, they're looking for the overall project, and if we do every element, add-ons included, what is the cost, those are the funds they wanna see, because then if we decide we want them to do that, the funding mechanism has to be in place. And then you're violating bid law process 30B if you don't have the funds and you decide to add to it over the 20% contingency, you would actually have to go out to rebid almost. So you get yourself into a tough spot if you don't budget for the overall cost of all of the items you'd like. Doesn't mean you have to put them in, just means the funds have to be in place in case you decide you want to add all of your alternates.
And
I make a motion to accept.
one more thing I'd talk about. In the last meeting, that back wall that people were talking about, it's gonna look like a wall, the monuments and everything. Are we gonna give family members options of different colors?
Yeah, so.
So that way it's not all black
So
or all
I
gray,
think there
whatever.
was some kind of, some misinterpretation, miscommunication about the quote-unquote wall.
Yep.
So the rendering shows a wall because they just used one
Yep,
visual of a headstone.
Yes.
Families have the option to choose flat markers, slant markers, upright markers of varying different sizes, colors, shapes, as long as they fit within their lot. So
Okay.
what was shown was a
Uniform.
3-foot marker uniform across all of those lots,
Okay.
but that's not necessarily what's going to happen in
Okay.
practice. Unless we decided that that is exactly what we wanted, but I don't think we should go down that route. I think
So, like,
families
yeah.
deserve the right to choose.
Yeah, I
those
agree.
options.
I agree with Mr. Pirano on that. So in essence, any other line you'd look at in the cemetery where you have different stones that
Yeah.
that's the same visual you'd see when you look along that back wall.
all right.
Yeah, and the grave sizes are the same as, they're the same as the grave sizes that we have in the single grave section along that back portion of the grave, of the design is the same size, so it's not anything different than that's already in the cemetery.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve this as is?
I make a motion to approve and send it
I'll
to
s-
bid.
I'll second that motion.
Commissioner Burns makes the motion to approve it in full. Commissioner Farris makes the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any notes?
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners.
You're welcome.
We'll keep you posted as progress goes on.
Remember, Commissioner Regal will be watching.
Oh,
I only agreed to a penny. Any over that, I'm out.
I know she'll be watching.
She'll be chasing you around that
Two pennies.
cemetery.
We're good For 2 pennies on the board.
Guys, thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
think you'll be excited when you see things start happening.
That's it? Do you want for something else?
That's it, that's all we had. That's all we had. Thank you. Good night, guys.
Have a good night.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay. Alrighty, so, new business. So we're gonna go back to item A. Invitation to Vietnam Wall Ceremony. So, next Saturday.
Place on file.
Next Saturday is going to be the Vietnam Wall Memorial at 12 o'clock down at Veterans Memorial Park. All the commissioners are invited, and I guess Commissioner Farias wants to talk about a little bit more.
Yeah, we're all invited. The only thing is you gotta have to bring your chairs, because it's gonna be a lot of people there and stuff. It's gonna be a hell of a ceremony, I should
City
say.
ain't got no more chairs?
Well, no, we ran out of chairs, so you're gonna have to bring your own chairs. It's gonna
Can't
be,
buy them anymore.
I guess we're not important as the generals and everything
and
else.
the big guys are gonna be down there. I don't even have it, I gotta stand up.
You're raising the flag anyways.
But yeah, it'd be nice if we all showed up and
Absolutely.
support men and women that sacrificed their lives during that conflict, which is actually a war. And a lot of names on that wall, and it's, I've been down there. It's amazing just to go up to the wall and kind of touch it. It's not the same as being in Washington, but it's something.
It's going to be a beautiful centerpiece for us.
Yes, it will be.
Motion accept and place on file.
Yeah, you got a second?
Second.
Okay. Commissioner Sylvia made the motion to place on file. Commissioner Burns seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item B, request from Green School, the use of Pulaski Park on June 11th.
It's like their field day that they have every year. Other than last year, they didn't do it, but they've been doing it for years. Motion and grant permission.
Just one thing before you leave. I would just, if someone can make the motion that they follow all safety protocols, whatever is
I'll
at
make that
June
part of my
11th.
motion.
Thank you.
Second that motion?
They usually clean up after themselves too.
Yep. Okay, Commissioner Sylvia made the motion to,
Second it.
and Commissioner Farias seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Item C, for community tennis requests, bicentennial courts.
I have a question regarding this,
Commissioner Sylvia.
to this, are these the same people who've done this in the past?
Year before last.
Yeah, it's the same people. I thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners?
Are there any permits that we need? Are we good? Is this
No,
like,
they've submitted their rosters, their insurance policy, they submitted what, a protocol, so they have.
so we cover all our bases?
Yeah, motion. Sure. I'll make a motion for the community tennis request.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Farias made the motion to approve this request. Commissioner Rego made the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Item D, Diamond JV Baseball, use of Lafayette Park.
Did they use it before? They never used it, right?
Not that I know of, because they usually have their own field, but
Mhm.
Durfee's going through this, Diamond's going through this, everyone's doing their fields, I guess, and didn't think about where they were gonna play.
Yep. And all they're looking for is 3 available 3:30 start times for JV following on the 25th of this month, June 10th, and possibly a third on June 15th. It's 3 days.
Do we have any other games that'll be playing those other?
Well, we'll be discussing that, I think it's practices, but that Brandy's here, she's Lafayette with the AAU team that she has, so, but normally these 3 dates, we would have asked them to work around whether they had a permit or not. I can find out a little more information from them, but as far as I know, these are the only 3 dates
Hmm.
that they're requesting.
Usually the high school season doesn't go,
The high school season's going until July 3rd
yeah,
this
this
year.
year.
Hmm.
That's what I was gonna say, usually it doesn't go into
No.
mid-June, because of, they started late because of pandemic situations
They
and.
do if you make it to the finals. but
Yeah.
A lot of people
Three,
don't know about that.
These are mostly during the day, during the week, right?
During the week.
I'm thinking,
Yeah,
these 3 games.
I would think that's a weekday.
Can we ask somebody in the floor for a question, or
Excuse me?
can we ask her a question? Do you think this is gonna
Interfere.
I don't know
interfere?
what I didn't quite hear what they requested. What times are they looking to start?
3:30 games, and it's gonna be during the week, 3
It's
games.
But
the
it's 3
May
dates.
3 dates.
25th is a Tuesday, June 10th is a Thursday, the 15th is also a Tuesday.
And what was the third one, June?
June
Uh,
15th, possible
which is
June
its
15th.
possibility.
So we have our 2 AAU teams. Their games are Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay,
So we would be looking to practice our 14U team on Wednesdays and Fridays, and our 18U team would be looking to practice on, I believe it was Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Well, your 18U team wouldn't even be able to play because while high school's going on, they can't play.
Not all of our AAU kids play high school ball.
Well,
Would it be at,
Some of them, a
What-
good portion of them do, just not all of them.
what time are your practices?
5:30,
Then
usually between 5:30.
We should be fine.
6 o'clock.
yeah,
and
these
And
are,
we can adjust
and
those,
normally
that's
we
not
just
a
ask
problem
them
at
to
all.
make an exception
Yeah,
because
we
it's
should be
3
fine.
days.
We can always
I went to
alternate
Diamond.
things, whatever we needed to do,
Okay.
it's fine.
My son is going.
they're 3:30 start time, so I'm sure they're
Yeah.
gonna be over by 5:30, 6 o'clock, the latest.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's later than that.
High school games.
I've gone to some high school games.
Say.
Yeah, I can take these 3 dates and give them, and we can just.
Okay.
But if worst came to worst, this is a game, it's a
Right,
practice.
games
So
take
if they had,
precedence
if you
over
had all
time.
this as a practice, then, all
We
right.
had said that with soccer, so I would think that we're gonna do that again with baseball, where games
Yeah.
take precedence. so.
Motion to grant permission.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Sylvia made the motion to, for the use of Diamond for Lafayette Park. Commissioner Riga made the second. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Oh, yeah, aye.
Okay. Item E, permission for a U-Haul pod for league storage. Kennedy Park, you want to step down, Mr. Vitale?
You don't have any questions?
Anybody have any questions?
Where do you want to put it?
To where our concession stand building is, over to the left-hand side. It's away from everything. It's to secure some stuff that we have, that we don't have room to put on the other side.
Okay.
It's just gonna be for the season, and when the season is over, it's getting out of there.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second that?
Second by Commissioner Rigo. Commissioner Rigo made the motion to approve. Commissioner Farris seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
I abstain.
Abstain. Commissioner Sylvia abstains. 4-1 vote.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Item S, request from Troy City Yoga, use of park for classes. So any commissioners have any questions? If not, I have some.
I have a question.
Commissioner Sylvia.
What park?
Well, Park.
Bicentennial, isn't it?
Oh,
Bicentennial,
It doesn't say.
isn't it?
The email them saying,
What park?
Doesn't say. Either way, we've done it.
Maybe they just want a park.
A
Probably
park.
don't take up much room.
It just says a park.
depends on how many people are gonna have. If they have-
Well, the problem is it's donation. The first problem is it's donation based. The second problem is if you let one person do it, now you're gonna have everyone. What happened was during the pandemic, we let people utilize the parks for exercises because gyms were closed, but it is never anything that the board has done. I know this because I've been an instructor. When you are a personal trainer and you use a facility, that facility charges you 30% of what you're charging someone to participate or be personally trained by you. So this is basically looking to forego that fee if you rent the space in someone's place. So this is why the board, and we've never allowed this to take place in parks, because you will have thousands of this
Yep.
happening, and there's no way of controlling who's earning income, who's charging, who's not charging. You know, if someone's in a public space, she just happens to want to participate in the class, and I go, you can't participate in this, you need to be a member of such and such to do that. So it just kind of snowballs, and to police the issue is very, very difficult. So with that being said, the board can do whatever they want, but this won't be the last request of such that you see. And there is a rule saying that you cannot charge admission in a public park.
That's right.
And not only that, asking for donations, it's not gonna be open to the public.
No.
And it's the public parks. The other thing is, they obviously don't wanna pay for rental anywhere else. And if you're gonna use a park, then not only donations, she's gonna have to have liability insurance, she's gonna have to have fee rental for the parks and that.
I wouldn't
So-
say, I would, well, it says Tri-City Yoga, so I would assume they do have some sort of studio. They're just trying to find outdoor space, because obviously if you're doing yoga, it's
Yep.
nice to be outside, fresh air. I would think we should just
Deny.
maybe think about this for the future, because I think people are gonna do it regardless if we say yes or no.
Deny.
So we might wanna talk about it in the future.
Well, if you talk about it, I think it's gonna have to be fee-based,
Yes, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be, but I
and I don't know how you're gonna do that with the rule of we cannot charge an admission to a public park. That's, that's the gray area, so.
Plus, and this is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's only my opinion, it says donation. We have little leagues and baseball leagues who accept donations, and I'm under rules about 501(c)(3)s and solicitation certificates. So if they're gonna be collecting money and you're still calling it a donation, then I believe they would have to be under those restrictions.
I make a motion to deny.
Any other questions? Commissioner Rigo made a motion to deny. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sylvia. All in favor?
Aye, yes.
If they're not, you need a roll call.
Okay, roll call. Commissioners. Commissioner Rigo
Yes,
to deny.
I deny, yes.
Commissioner Sylvia.
Yes.
Commissioner Burns.
abstain.
Commissioner Farias.
Stay.
Commissioner Sylvia, yes. 3-2. Denied. Okay, I need a motion, someone can make a motion, item G needs to be moved down to the end of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to move G to the bottom.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second. Commissioner Farias made the motion to move item G to the bottom of the agenda. Commissioner Rigo seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Just so the board knows, because the gentleman's at work.
Okay,
I
I was
didn't know if
like,
he was gonna be able to get here.
Okay.
So I said we could move it to the latest, to the point that
Okay.
we had when we got to it, if he wasn't here yet, so.
Yeah, he thinks he's going to be here about 15 minutes or so. Okay, item H, request for Fall River Baseball Hitman AAU Board request they attend.
Anybody here?
Yep. Ms. Vining?
Oh, two.
Okay, so, do we have any questions? I have a couple, but,
I'll let you go first.
okay. Anybody else? So, Mr. Vining, when I first looked at your rosters and that, and I think I talked to you about it last time on the Zoom call and everything. Now, I checked with other leagues, and I know other leagues had people grandfathered in that either moved from Fall River to outside communities, and that's why they were grandfathered in. Hold on. So when I talk to other leagues, some of their players that are playing in their leagues now from outside this community were originally Fall River residents. And they were grandfathered in to play in the league still because they moved to either
That-
Tiverton or,
Was based on Little League.
Okay.
So when Little League, regular season
Mhm.
play, that, before I was president, there was
Okay.
issues with boundaries and kids saying, whatever.
okay,
The boundaries were enforced,
Mhm.
and that's where that grandfather
okay,
came in. With Little League, if you're already playing and you move, you can stay.
okay,
If you stop playing one season, after you've moved, you cannot come back. So AAU is a whole nother animal.
okay. The only thing is, I'm gonna make a motion, no, I'm not gonna make a motion, I told my colleagues to,
Mr. Chairman,
If
can
they
you
want-
put something up about?
Go ahead.
Literally
Commissioner
restrictions
Sylvia.
that was done, that is, what she said is factually correct.
Mhm.
It was done with a waiver that's approved by Little League Baseball.
Okay.
I just want to throw that out there. I don't want people to think that people are making up their own rules as they go along.
Yep.
If a waiver was not granted or applied for, that child that moved would still be considered illegal because they didn't meet the requirements of what they had to do. That's where the controversy in the past came. People didn't do what they were supposed to do. And I keep saying that on this board all the time.
Mhm.
And it happened outside of this board with Little League, and there was a controversy. Because when you get in later in the season, and you're planning to go to the Little League World Series, that paperwork is all on file, all approved by certain levels as you go along. And when that paperwork is not there, you can't, after playing for 2 months, you can't decide you're gonna fill it out now. So to make that clear, it's not just people making that decisions on their own. There was a process that Little League's had for years that wasn't, or was in some cases, being taken care of by a form that had to be filled out and approved.
Can I, before, I
Go ahead.
I really, so what he's talking about is Little League, yes, and that's only because there was more than one charter
Okay.
in the city, okay? If such now, John is the only Little League, there's no boundaries. He can take kids from wherever he wants, as long as there's no that Little League in that city or town. He can take kids from Fairhaven, because there's no Fairhaven Little League. He can't take one from Tiverton, because there's a Tiverton Little League. Maplewood, because they're independent, can take kids from wherever they want. We looked into getting a Cal Ripken charter. Cal Ripken won't allow it because they don't want the boundary friction. So those rules, from what I understand, I've only been involved in baseball, this is my 4th season, and I don't know all the ins and outs. But those boundary and town restrictions you're talking about are based on the organization's boundaries. So theoretically, because now we're not part of any type of Little League, Cal Ripken, doesn't matter where they live in the city. Doesn't matter if they live on Middle Street or Meridian Street. They can play at Dumont Field, just like Kennedy. Doesn't matter.
We're going off a little.
We only got one from Fall River.
No, that's a different, that's the other guy. that-
No.
I have maybe 5 or 6 kids that aren't from Fall River,
Yep.
between the 2 teams.
Yep.
Now, our goal,
That's
and I
true.
don't want to make
Just
something,
hold on, let her
Hold on,
finish.
hold on.
I don't want to make, seem like we're going to always accept kids. Our goal is to have it Fall River based. I would love, and I'm going to come in front of the board soon, with a plan to make Lafayette the home of the AAU Hitmen,
Okay.
Mill City Hitmen. I'd like that to be our home field.
Okay.
So our goal is to make it Fall River based, but in order to get it started and get it rolling, when people asked if we were accepting, because again, this is, AAU is an entire organization.
Mhm.
Kids are looking to play, we want kids to play.
Okay. So now to finish what I was saying. Little League is a total different thing than I'm talking from AAU and everything. When I first looked at the rosters and I seen majority of kids from Fall River, I don't mind, Somerset, Swansea, Tiverton, Assonet, Westport, I don't mind. when a kid's coming from Woonsocket, Rhode Island,
Well,
Attleboro,
it's Warren, Rhode Island,
Warren,
and it's a friend of one of the players.
I understand that, but you know something, the taxpayers are paying for this parks.
Okay, so,
And the thing is, I'm gonna make, when I talk to the city council in the future, I will be recommending that all little leagues, youth programs are not gonna pay a fee to use the parks.
okay.
All adult leagues and AAU will be paying a fee to
And
use these parks.
That is completely understandable. Every other park in the AAU organization
Mhm.
does that.
Okay?
Because we don't have a home field, if you notice, as Nancy pointed out at one of the meetings, that on our AAU flyer, it said,
Mhm.
part of the fee was field rental.
Okay.
Because we have a home game somewhere else, and they have to pay for their fields.
Okay?
So, I don't have a problem with that. I'm not looking for games at this point. At this point, I'm just looking for practices. And I'm looking at a place where we're not gonna get kicked off by an adult league from Providence. Because that has happened. We had a scrimmage with Maplewood, and there was a Providence adult league that just wanders around the state and plays in different fields. And luckily, they didn't give us an issue when we all showed up, but that's not always the
And
case.
it's not just you, and it's not just to keep it clear, it's not just you, that I'm not picking on your
Well-
team, and, hold on, you have 5 players. I have the next agenda,
I understand
hold on,
that, but
the
why
next
am I paying
agenda,
for everybody
the
else?
next agenda is gonna be, there's 1 player, and the other 20-something are all from all over Green
But at the
Earth.
end of the day, we're still talking about a youth program.
And
no.
I think we need to
I'm
tone it down a
getting a
notch.
little-
No, and I agree. I just want to say, as someone who grew up in the city, who played sports in this city, I do think it's important to make sure that the kids have somewhere to play and have somewhere to put their time and energy into positive feedback, which is sports. That's literally how I was raised. That's why I wanted to be on this board, for when things like this did happen. If anyone does have an issue with how many kids are from Fall River, how many people aren't, then we should have that conversation of charging the fee if that's what we want to do. But when it comes to making kids not be able to play, that's where I have an issue with it, because I understand Fall River, yes, the fields are free. If that is something that we need to talk about, I am willing to do that, and if these kids' parents want them to play, they will pay the fee. My mom was a single parent with 3 children, and I played at Ruggles, and she paid that fee for all 3 of us every single year. She made sure she found the funds. So that's something that we should probably talk about if that's what we want to do, but I definitely think if it's penalizing children for not living in Fall River or wanting to play with their friends, I definitely think that's a conversation that needs to be had at some point. And that's all I'm going to say.
Any other questions?
Here's my issue. And I've been advocating this for years now. I look at the roster that was given to me, that was turned in. From age 12 to 14, I assume that's one division. There's 13 players, 5 from out of town. When you say it's not from Woonsocket, well, it says Woonsocket on here.
Doesn't have a typo because it's Warren.
Well, that's not what it says here. So
I'm sorry, it's a typo.
what was presented wasn't correct. So when we question that, we're the bad people again. Because I didn't make that error. But anyway, in that group, age group, that's 38% of that team that's out of town.
There is a Warren, there's a Warren and a Woonsocket, Randy.
When you go to 15 and 17, there's 14 players, there's 7 from out of town. That's 50%. The problem I have.
Out of town or out of state?
Out of the city.
Oh,
Westport, Norton, Somerset, Westport. And these are coming off your list that you turned in.
Those are neighboring cities, he just
That's
didn't have a problem with it.
When you combine the 2 teams, it's 27 total players, and 12 of them are almost 50%. The problem I have is if a taxpayer wants to go there and use that field at a particular time, like she just mentioned, you know, a team from out of town wanted to kick them off. It didn't happen, and it shouldn't happen. Just like a taxpayer who's wants to play baseball with their kids or family, shouldn't be kicked off to give a permit to somebody that's almost 50% from out of the city. I've talked about this, this is not just this year with AAU. I've been talking about this for years. I've been talking about how people try and circumvent the rules of this board for years. I'm done with it. The board can do what they want. I will not vote to support this until those numbers come down. And there's more for kids playing in that program.
But what?
I'm not wait. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, I know, and I apologize for cutting you off.
I've been involved with sports as a coach and administrator for over 40 years. We never had these problems in the past. In the past, I've come before this board as a league president with the same request that these leagues do now, except now it's more of what's in it for me. It's not about kids anymore. Okay? And to me, I'm not against AAU baseball, I'm not against Cal Ripken baseball, I'm not against any baseball. We'd love to see more kids playing in the city, in every park. That's not the issue. The issue is that we have rules, and when we try and enforce them, we get kicked around. If we don't enforce them, when we bring up the rule, oh, nobody told me. So I've been putting this out there for years now. And it's still, until this board has a backbone, more than one commissioner, to enforce the rules that we make, then we have issues. Or scrap all the rules and start again. I yield.
Any other commissioners? Commissioner Burns, you wanted to say something?
I just think that at the end of the day, we need to think about the kids, and it's very evident that's not what's happening right now. I understand the rules, I understand you want more children to play, but how are more children going to play if you're not allowing them to? I also believe that it is something that we should talk about if this is something that's happening. She just said he's the only Little League. When I was growing up, everyone was playing, you would be turning kids away because there'd be too many kids signing up. Clearly that's not happening, so
We have
whoever...
kids leaving the city and playing at Sybil. That's a problem. That's a problem. And
It's
why are
much
they
different. It's
why are they
much
playing at
different.
Sybil?
But the thing is, we're mixing the two. We're not talking Little League, we're not talking Cibolo, we're talking AAU. This is older.
I'm just talking about people who are playing in general.
Yeah.
When I was this age, there would be tryouts and kids wouldn't make it because there was that many kids
Try
trying to
again next
play.
year.
You
You're
wouldn't even get to
absolutely
play, and that's what I'm
And-
saying. So
and-
right now, there's only 27 kids.
This-
That number was triple
No,
when
I
I
know,
was in
and
there.
that's the thing I'm understanding is, taxpayer feels, and this is the thing, I want to see is there 4 River kids getting not picked on these teams and out of towns coming here because they're paying the money in
No,
it?
that's what I'm saying.
Or
They're not even
is it going to be an
turning kids
all-star
away.
team or
This is
something
what-
to go against another
Exactly.
You
AAU?
apply, you make it.
Because I want to make
There
sure
is
that every
no-
4 River kid is getting
So
chosen.
every
There
kid on that
isn't-
roster, we had a tryout, just to make sure that the age level that we were entering into was appropriate. If we needed to bump it down, if we needed to bump, however we need, but that was for safety reasons. Every single kid that showed up made that team. There's 2 kids on that roster that aren't paying, there's 3 kids on that roster that are only paying $100. So,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
trying
what
to
I'm
keep-
saying. I'm saying there would be tryouts and you'd be like, sorry, you gotta go home.
Right.
Now, there's tryouts, but she's saying to make sure you're not playing below your level so that you didn't get hurt, but you're making it regardless. And that, it wasn't, so that's what, there's 27 kids because 27 kids applied.
right.
That's where I'm
And
coming
the
from,
only
where I'm
reason I'm turning
saying.
kids away now is because I can't add them to the roster. It's truly.
So like I said, I'm not saying that we don't, I understand the rules outside, I get that. But what I'm saying is maybe we should start charging that fee for AAU if that's something, if we're only getting kids from out of town, you know what, then the city's making money.
And I'm not opposed to it. If I have 3 or 4 teams because there are kids that don't want to play at Brian Rose anymore or don't want to play for the Bay Sox anymore and they'd rather play here, you want to charge me a fee, fine. I'm not opposed to it. Regular season, that's another story.
Right. I
For
think
the city
that's what the
kids.
board has to
Yes.
address.
But-
I think the board needs to address, Little League season runs from April to July or whatever. Those are the fields that you don't charge for. Those are the fields that you don't, whatever. All these other leagues after that, the parents are paying, like you said, they're scraping together the money. It's not just $70 or $30. They're putting together $650 or $1,000.
$1,000 a week,
So
whatever.
at that point, this board has to make that decision. But as Commissioner Sylvia said, we've been kicking this can down the road, I've been here a long time, and every single year we hear the same thing. Out-of-town kids, we're gonna start charging. Then, you know, this board has to put it before the council, and the council can, you know, has to understand that in lieu of this field not being available to taxpayers, they are getting revenue. But to take a field, what Commissioner De Silva is saying is to take a field from taxpayers to provide out-of-towners with a place to play, well, these out-of-towners live in a town too, as well. So I think that's what this board needs to do. Regular season where everybody plays, and I've said this a million times. Joey, who doesn't know how to kick the ball in soccer, and Billy, who strikes out every time batting. Those seasons, those are the seasons that this board grants that free ride of not paying for permits and supposedly not paying for whatever else. But when you now have your travel teams and your AAU teams and your whatever teams, and some of this is regardless of if they even are from Fall River. That's what this board's gonna have to come to a conclusion to as well, because we do have Fall River teams that are majority of Fall River teams, but they are also elite athletes that people try out for, and they go, bye-bye, you're not good enough, you need to stay home. So those are the things that this board is gonna have to address. Unfortunately, she's collected the money from these people. There's really nothing she can do at this point.
Yep.
So,
You
don't
wanna
put
charge
it-
me a
don't-
fee for practice? Charge me a fee for practice, I'll pay it. I don't care, I just
But-
want the permission, that's all I want.
but my point is, at this point forward, we can't keep kicking the can down the road. The fee schedule has to go to the city council in November or October. So by the time these people apply for this stuff again, they know what they're getting into. They know
I
what
know if I
they're.
need to work it into my rate or not, and just tell me what you want me to do.
So,
That's it.
and what she has to understand is, I guess you're not using this for games on Saturday and
No,
Sunday.
because of the porta johns, I don't wanna put kids through a double header on a Saturday without
Right.
use of a
So,
bathroom.
right now,
So-
with these kids, you're looking for
Practice.
Tuesday, Thursday, and Monday, Wednesday, or whatever those days you
Yeah.
said, but because you don't have them in this
Wednesday,
letter.
well, we didn't have schedules and things like that, and we weren't sure about the men's league playing or what have you. So, between availability of coaches and when games are and things like that, our 14U would be playing or practicing Wednesday, Friday to be prepared for their game on Saturday. And then the 18U kids, they don't even start until the end of, I wanna say beginning of June. We would be looking, as of right now, for a Monday, Wednesday.
Look at the other teams
Unless-
there on Wednesday, so
And
Monday,
then
Thursday.
Tuesday, Thursday, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Unless the men's league wants to play and then.
Well, they usually come in later.
Right.
Okay. So the 18U, you're basically looking for practice from, what's the times, because it's
It's
not on.
5 to dark.
8 at the dock.
Yeah.
5 to dock.
Some kids get there when they get there.
Monday,
some kids-
for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 5 to dock at Lafayette.
Yep, Tuesday to Friday. No, we don't use the lights for practice, we don't,
With the exception of those days that you guys gave, whatever.
right,
So-
and I've written them down and I'll let the coaches know that the field's unavailable that day.
So the days are Tuesday, Friday, you said?
Tuesday
Tuesday
and
through
Thursday
Friday.
for one team, Wednesday, Friday for the 4 teams.
On Monday.
So this is basically using this field for practice only.
Mhm.
Her AAU team is not going to play.
No,
So if we do have a league that comes forward that has a game, then we can say, listen, can you move your practice, because games take precedence over practices. I mean, this is something this board, I mean, it's kind of like after the fact, that everything's in place. So I think
because going forward.
I
to
think
get-
going forward, if we're not going to take kids from out of town, or we're taking kids from out of town, if your team has this many kids from out of town, you are subject to fees.
Yes.
I mean, you have to do it one way. It had, to support the taxpayer-based thing, it has to be a trade-off. So if the taxpayers are losing the use of this field, then they have to be compensated by a revenue for the lack of use. And
Yes.
then I think it's a win-win for everyone. Kids get to play, the taxpayers get a revenue, but we've always been frowned upon as far, just so you know, Amber, of charging. And, you know, everyone wants us to come up with a revenue, but unfortunately, the only revenue source we have is to charge leagues or people that have events.
Oh, and
that's
I
not
totally
popular.
understand. My thing is you're saying you've been kicking the can, it's been coming up. If it keeps coming up, do something about it. Like, that's
Well,
literally
it's-
it.
it's
We can
very
sit here,
easy
have
to
these
say,
meetings
but
for
it
45
hits
minutes
a lot
every
of
single
roadblocks.
time, or we can figure out a plan and move forward.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm proposing, so.
I think this board needs to look at revenues because, and this board needs to go before the city council to have those revenues put in an account that this board can use for maintenance of these fields. Because once you open up that can of worms and you start charging leagues a fee to use the field, they're gonna expect certain standards. Because when they go to Westport and Norton and everywhere else, and they're playing on a lot better fields, they're
Well,
gonna say,
then they go
why are
there, we don't worry about it.
then
you
the
go
whole
back
thing goes
to
back to
Westport,
square one.
That's
That's what's
it.
gonna happen.
If they don't
Does
like,
anybody want to play on Fenway Park?
well, if they don't
I
like
mean, I
this-
would,
what we
yes,
are
but-
providing for their fee,
would too.
then they have the option of
Yeah,
going
but-
somewhere else, and this board hasn't lost a penny
Exactly.
because we haven't gotten a dime in the first place. So
Mm-hmm.
this is what we have.
But
for
with
you
some
to
leagues
use.
who do what they're supposed to do, their fields are well maintained. Whether it's a little league or
We have
a
not
big
had
group.
an issue with leagues maintaining their fields. We
I
have worked
understand that.
well
Well,
with them.
that in lieu of paying a fee, they're doing work for us.
And if our
When
fields
people
don't meet other
start,
conditions, then
start
we're
writing
not gonna come and
checks,
pay a fee.
they're gonna want services. And then when they don't get their services, they're gonna be back in this room saying the park board
And Amber
doesn't
is
do
gonna
this,
tell
doesn't
them.
provide
And then
that.
they can speak to me, and I got stuff to say, so they'll be fine.
Well, the
Well,
point, it's
just
like
the-
if I
just-
don't like to eat at your restaurant,
Yeah.
I go to your restaurant, but if I don't like to eat at your restaurant, I just don't pay you to go eat at your restaurant again. That's the
Just-
same thing with these
just
leagues.
to
If they feel
clarify.
that they should get more services for what we're asking them to pay, then by all means, take your team and go someplace else, because they're not going to go, Jeff. We have people,
I'm just
on
making a point.
$125 an hour, they pay for use of fields. They pay us zero. So if you
I
pay me
understand that.
$50 instead of 125, we're not gonna roll out the red carpet for you.
I understand that. I'm just making a point.
Well, we can cross the bridge of that when we cross the bridge of revenue, but whether they wanna pay it or not, or whether they feel they're not getting enough of this
This
service.
bridge is getting longer and longer.
But just,
okay?
just,
We keep
just,
talking about it,
all right,
just about every single meeting for the last couple of years.
all right, just so we can move
And we
on,
take no action. But when
Just-
somebody brings up this issue, and I'm usually the one that does, I'm labeled as difficult. People go upstairs to see the administration about me, okay? And they do all kinds of things.
all right, we gotta reel this back in,
Yeah.
just,
That's
just,
No one's saying we're just saying times are changing.
just,
You're a
Yeah,
delight.
You're right, times are changing. And know why? Because things like this, kids don't play anymore, to your point, guys. But
just to reel this back in, please.
for 27 kids, we're gonna change the rules again.
Just to reel this back in, this Tuesday, me and Mrs. Smith is going back before the council, and we'll be discussing about park improvements and all of this stuff.
They're not gonna jump on this.
So, just,
Been there, done that.
all right.
So you need a motion?
All right, do I have a motion to, and just before we go on, I didn't say I was against this, I just said that going forward, for next year, I don't have a problem this year, next year,
Right, I think that's.
That's-
what you have to do.
And
that's what I had said in the beginning.
just to make it clear,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with anything you
Okay.
wanna set, just give me the rules,
Mhm.
tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it.
And I think going forward, if she has the notice of, your teams need to have Fall River kids only, and that's what this board,
Well,
Comes
then we
to?
don't have a team, but
then that's what.
you wanna charge me for so many kids? Even if I have all Fall River kids and you wanna charge me a fee because it's an AAU team, it's an elite team. I don't have a problem.
All right,
Okay.
do I have a motion
Well,
to,
but this board, again, may need the help of leagues like yourself at the city council,
Well,
because
sign me up.
they don't want to.
We'll be calling.
This city
We
needs to
need
move
the
forward,
support
and I'm
of people
totally
to
on
come
board with
forward
it.
and say, we pay everywhere else, so to pay here, it's worth it to us. So we need people to go there the same way they go when they're not happy. We
Yeah.
need to have
If you're
them
not part
go
of the
and
solution, you're
support
part of the
us.
problem, and I don't want to be part of the problem. I want to be part of the solution.
Okay, so I'll make a motion
All right,
that we grant her permission.
okay. Do I have a second?
And do we want to do this, say that this is this year only with the
This-
out-of-town kids,
Yes.
next year, so that everyone is on record? There may be some changes that,
This year, yes, this year only, and next
Okay,
year, we'll
just so
make,
that we know.
make-
Well,
have
because
some
hopefully
changes.
those kids that are out of town will come back and play with us, and we'll have an even stronger
Right.
team. But I don't want that to limit us to not playing in the city, because we're losing out on more revenue by doing that.
so the understanding is.
All right.
Fall River
I
Kids
have one
Festival.
question regarding this vote. When the vote is to allow the out-of-town kids. So if
Just-
Fall River kid wants to sign up tomorrow,
just,
can he sign up?
No.
Can a walk, no, I don't know that, I'll be honest with you, I don't know that rosters stay open forever.
No.
Yeah.
They're closed.
So the question would be, the more logical question would
Just this
be,
year.
is if a Fall River team comes forward with all Fall River kids to play on a Fall River baseball field, do we approach her and say, listen, or you can make this vote, as long as there is no other Fall River team that comes forward with a whole roster of Fall River kids, we won't have to disturb your schedule.
But
If a Fall River roster comes forward, but I mean, that's a lot of ifs.
I'll ask again, if Fall River kids want to play, we're allowing out-of-town kids to play, but not a Fall River kid. What, because of the alleged deadline?
What?
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
So
What is-
right now,
what-
if someone,
what was the deadline?
okay, a doctor's child wanted to play 3 days ago. The cutoff date was May 1st. He asked on Sunday.
Is that
AAU
your
said no.
rule or is that
That's AAU's rule.
AAU's rule?
AAU said,
I think you have to
I feel
close your
that's- I was gonna
rosters
say,
at
that's
some
any-
point. You can't leave an
Yeah.
open roster like forever.
No.
You have to close your rosters at
at
some point.
yeah.
Yes.
All right.
We're just coming up.
So-
Like-
Commissioner Farias made the motion. Commissioner,
I can forward you the rules too, so you have.
do you want to add what Ms. Smith had said?
yeah, we,
About this will be for, this year only, there may be more changes
Changes.
next
I mean,
year.
when is this AAU schedule over? When is your,
So
because I don't have those dates.
I can get them. The 18U schedule hasn't even come out yet because they were waiting for the high schools to decide.
So are they done in August?
I believe so. All AAU will be done in August.
Okay, so these leagues right here are going to go through
Mhm.
August,
Yep.
okay? So at this point, I don't know of any other league
No.
that would start up
No.
now. If anything, it would be a fall ball league
Right.
that would want to come in. So I think at this point, we're safe to say, this is a temporary thing. Please note that we have issues with out-of-town kids. So if you do decide that you're going to do this next year, please keep note in your mind that
That
out-of-town
may-
kids could change
Yep.
the playing field, quote unquote.
Okay. All right,
Unintended.
all right.
So
So,
this is till this.
August.
I'm,
you want
yes,
to
need
make,
the
you want to make that
schedule.
motion?
we'll make that motion.
I will
Okay.
still second it.
Second by Commissioner Burns.
So
Do
who was
we-
the victor?
Do we want to do a roll call vote on this?
Victor was the, if you
Or do you want to do this
And
all in
Burns
favor?
seconded.
you can
Yeah.
do a roll call.
Roll call,
Roll call vote. Commissioner Sylvia.
No,
Commissioner Burns.
yes.
Commissioner Farias.
Yes,
Commissioner Rio.
Yes.
Commissioner Silva, yes. Okay.
Please get me that
I will
information as soon as
get
possible.
it.
And this way we can settle both permits.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to jump down to item I. TJ's Music request for recital at Bison Townley Park. I have a couple of questions here.
They charge. When you have a recital, they pay, they charge.
No, I know that, I
It's a
know
free
that.
event.
But there's two things here. There's two things where I have a problem here. I know they've reached out to the city about using the gates, which I think would be more accommodating for them.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is, because of the protocol, the amount of kids there, I don't understand. You have an open area in that. We can't, how are they gonna stop everybody from exceeding them numbers with the protocol? That's one. And then the other thing is, just in the beginning of, the beginning of our thing, we got an invitation for the wall ceremony my opinion, I don't think anything, that's all gonna be for veterans down there now. I don't think we have any ceremonies down there that's gonna disturb them veteran areas. Because I don't think they're gonna wanna have all these people around the monuments.
If, so I have two follow-up questions to your questions. What are there certain regulations now for outdoors? I thought that was
150.
150.
And then do you know how many students? It also says it's a free event, that's open, so that's the other thing. I don't think they'd be
Open
charging
to all
a
of
fee.
our students and parents,
Yep.
so.
Yeah.
So the
If
thing
it's
is,
free,
if
though, I
there's,
don't think it's open
They
to
charge
the,
for recitals?
I have no idea. I spoke with this woman, she preferred the gates,
yep,
but I don't know if she got a good answer from the gates.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, and I think when she's saying
Again-
prices, it'd be like if they have to pay us to do it. I don't
Right,
think
well,
they're
again,
charging.
for a park fee use, it's $125 a day, and it's $60 for any electrical hookup that they may use.
Mhm.
Now, with that being said, in our park setting, people can come from
Yep.
everywhere. I was the one who kind of referred her to the gates, because the gates have a way-in, and it's all
Mm-hmm.
sectioned off. So her being able to maintain the protocol was gonna be much easier
Yep.
there. So I don't know that she got an answer back
Yep.
from the gates.
Okay.
So with that,
and it's more set up conducively at the gates, which is not in our control, under our, we don't oversee the gates, but Ms. Smith was saying, you go through the gates, that's the one opening. They can kind of control who's going in there and that. With Bicentennial, you have Barrett's to the right. You have the boat ramp, which is not ours, that's state property.
Yeah.
Then you have the tennis courts, you have the wall, you have the boardwalk. How are you gonna stop all these people?
I feel like I'm a little different, and I feel like this would be, obviously before COVID restrictions, I feel like this would be amazing. If you're just like out for a walk and then there's a nice orchestra performing, and I feel like that was when I was younger, you'd go to the park and there would always be something. So when COVID is not in play, I do think Bicentennial would be a great place because it's open, anybody could walk by and listen. I think it would actually be really beautiful next to the monument. But with COVID restriction, then yes, I think that the arches, gates would be a better
Yep.
space for it.
So, what is the purview of the board for this?
Motion to deny.
Motion to deny, Commissioner Regal, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Farias. All in favor of denial?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we only have the one item left, item H.
No.
Excuse me,
Tree removal?
the tree removal we already did, we moved them to out of order.
That was it.
We have item G, sorry.
Claudio, right? This is.
Come on down.
Come on down,
Down.
right over here, this first row.
I was out on that one.
Oh, yeah, we moved that. We moved those with the free.
Good evening.
Good
Hello.
evening.
So, I put an application.
Just need to address where you are, your name and you're from.
Okay, my name is Claudio Raposo, from Dayton, Mass, grew up in Fall River. And here
We're gonna
in,
waive the rules of these from that.
Waive the rules,
Waive
do
the
I have a
rules.
motion?
Motion to waive the rules.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by, all in favor of the waiver rules? Aye.
so,
Good, sir.
yep, I'm here in regards to a field permit, for a baseball team to use really any of the city fields. In particular, we're looking at Kennedy Park, and I forget the name, but the.
Kupalo Field.
Kupalo Field, but also open to North Park, the big field also. We're a 12U AAU team, based out of Dayton, but we have kids from all over the area. And basically just looking for space to practice for the time being.
Is it practice or games?
Practice,
Just practice.
yeah.
And what dates would that be?
Mondays,
And this is softball, right?
this is baseball.
Baseball,
Baseball,
okay.
The reason why I was after the football field is We play 50-70, not 46-60, which most of the fields are set up for that. And we bring in a portable mound to move it there, throw down bases, and then use it. We open to bringing rakes and leaving the field in as good or better condition when we leave than when we got there.
What times?
Mondays from 5:45 to 7:45, 2 hours.
Mondays to what? I'm sorry.
5:45 to 7:45.
Where is your team
So
based
one
out?
day?
The team is based out of Dayton, Mass. We do our winter practices in Fall River on Anawan Street. But we do have kids from all over the place.
You don't have a park available in Dayton?
We do. When I first applied, I didn't. In Dayton, with the COVID regulations, they also had, their park board was kind of up for reelection. So they weren't issuing any permits. They finally did. Second week of April, I received a permit to practice there on Wednesday. So right now, we're practicing there on Wednesdays.
Do they charge fees?
They do not, no. Not for practices anyway.
How about for games?
We don't, with COVID regulations, they're not allowing games. So right now for games, we rent a field in Rehoboth for games, for our home games. Our season is almost, not almost over, we have about 2 months left in the season, but we have one home game scheduled, that's this weekend. So right now, it's really practices what we're looking for. Also hoping that the city sees that we are upstanding and that we're, really, it really is about the kids. I know AU has a stigma of that we're about the profit, but we're really not. I charge the absolute minimum that it costs to run the organization and give the kids the best possible baseball experience. And we have real good parents, real good kids, and we try to take care of everybody the right way.
So I'm looking at your roster.
Yes,
You have 12 kids
yes,
on this team. The one's from Florida. The rest are all from out of town.
yes.
One from Rhode Island.
Yeah,
One for what I want, yes.
okay. We just to hear me out, the last person was here, had, out of all her teams, only 5 were from out of town, the rest were all from Florida. We are gonna be looking at in the future that we're gonna be either charging a fee for out of town, for AEU and everything, or it's gonna be based on how many kids from Florida. Because it's the taxpayers that are paying these fields.
Right.
I know you said no games, just practice. Miss Smith, and you said that, I know you asked for Cupola. Cupola's a softball field, so I have a problem with that. In that there's poor drainage and everything over there. That's why we really don't utilize that field.
That we don't have another that age baseball field available, because you're looking for it till July 4th?
Till, yeah, that's our last tournament for this season till fall, yes.
Okay, so at this point, he's not gonna get a 12, he's not gonna get a Little League field, because all the Little League fields are used by our Little Leagues that are under 12.
Yep.
Now, what he's saying about the mound or whatever, Cupolo hasn't been used. We're talking, if we're gonna do this again, we're gonna go, I don't wanna go down this road for another 2 hours.
Yep.
It's July 4th. Is it one day a week?
One day a week.
We're talking 8 nights or whatever. My recommendation to the board, I never see anyone on that field. I mean, we can go to a point where we don't give fields out and we say, look, it's a public field, you can go there. And we don't give a permit. That's option 1. Option 2, we say, you got only one kid from Fall River, and we've gone down this road. But like Amber said, you're stopping kids from playing. Or we go, it's 8 weeks, we've sailed this ship for 6 years, 16 years, let's sail it for another 8 weeks. That's what the board has to decide.
My only thing is, he had mentioned.
But again,
Yeah.
you do this now, someone's gonna come forward with you in the fall and say, I only have one kid, so
Yeah.
buyer beware with whatever decisions
Yeah.
we make.
My only thing was gonna say, he had mentioned North Park, the lower North Park. We already gave, pretty much assigned that to Durfee for their games and practices and everything, that stuff, varsity down there.
With that, like I said, we do.
My
it
thing
later on.
is, because I'm trying to keep baseball and baseball, softball to softball
Yep.
fields.
Well, the only
Nope.
thing you can do is Lafayette.
That's what I was gonna say, is Lafayette is not being used on Monday.
No.
When we just looked at the practices here, and I don't think any of them games, would you be willing to go to Lafayette?
Yeah, we're up at Lafayette Park, so,
And it's
a
only
single
it's
year.
practice, it's not,
right.
and it's
Being
only
prac-
till July,
Right.
so that way it gives us time for next year to work on this.
And you have the one field that has the issues of out-of-town people you tied out of that. Now, my other problem, the other thing that I have to look at is the Fribble Men's League
Mhm.
does play games there at night, so you're not going past dark, correct?
Correct, 7:45-ish or so.
Right. Okay,
Okay.
so that,
So, and just to clarify, we voted on the last meeting, games with the soccer and games come before
Yes.
practice. So if there's another league that's gonna actually have a game, you will have to come off that field.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be notified that there is a game scheduled?
Yes,
whether it's already now or-
Miss Smith will let you know.
Yeah.
if I'm notified.
If
I'm
she's
notified, I'm
notified.
notified.
Usually we have the schedules ahead of time, but
Right.
I might not get.
if it's a rain game out or something like that,
I'll be
then,
honest with you, I think if you're done July 4th, I don't think we should have an issue. If
Mm-hmm.
we're going to extend past that, I think that we might have an issue. And please know that come the fall,
Yep.
there may be issues with not having fall of the kids, but because we're in the baseball season,
mhm,
I think at this point,
yep,
as Amber said, in order to let the kids play,
Yep.
you gotta do what you gotta do. But I think the board really needs to come up with a set of rules as far as out of town and the number of kids on a roster and whatever. And this is gotta be addressed, either internally, externally, but it's gotta.
yep. All right.
Because it's, and as you said, again, I'm gonna put that it's a temporary.
Yep, this is temporary.
All right.
So I need a motion and second for that.
Motion
Monday night
second
at
to
Lafayette.
approve Monday nights at Lafayette Park from 5:45 to 7:45, and knowing that Mr. Reposo knows that if there's a game or anything that might conflict, that the game takes priority.
I make a motion.
I want to make a statement.
Wait, 1 second. Commissioner Sylvia.
I just sat here, I had a discussion for whatever amount of time it was, about out-of-town players you cannot field. I've been having that discussion for a long time. I have many faults of being a hypocrite, not one of them. If I voted no for the last one, I am not voting for this one. I want to make that perfectly clear, okay? Because, again, not going to be accurate. I've stated the reasons why, okay? I've been involved with youth sports for over 40 years, okay? She can, and whoever can come in here and tell me about AAU and everything else. I've umpired all those games, I've umpired adult league, high school, college, I've done it all. Little league, so I know exactly when they're telling me a lie, wasn't the word I wanted to use, but,
Stretching.
and when they're not. Okay, so, again, I have many faults, I'm not a hypocrite. If I voted no for the last one, I will not be voting in favor of this one.
Okay. So, I have a motion to accept this for
Temporary.
temporary permit from till now until July 4th. Monday nights Lafayette Park from 5:45 to 7:45, knowing that Mr. Reposo knows the Stingrays will be asked to leave the field if they have a game, another league has a game. His games take priority.
Make a motion.
Commissioner Burns makes the motion, I have a second.
Second.
Second by-
No.
Oh, okay,
No?
that's all right.
I'm so sorry, I stole
All
your
right.
No, I just didn't know, I didn't.
All right, so we'll go with Commissioner
One more
Rego.
question before you vote.
Go ahead, Mr. Sylvia.
Is this organization gonna be held to the same standards as all the other leagues?
They're
As
gonna,
far
Yes.
as paperwork,
I have liability, they
Yes.
have submitted that.
certificate of solicitation?
They don't
They're not
hang
soliciting.
banners. I can ask for, do you have a certificate of solicitation?
We do not because we don't solicit.
You're raising money.
We don't raise money.
They're paying fees, right?
They pay fees privately, and then during winter training, I rent a facility at 104 and 1 Street, and I rent the facility to a couple of softball teams that, with the money they pay, goes directly back into organizations.
Certificate of solicitation is for fundraising, like,
Yeah.
that's my understanding. I'm not an attorney.
I'm not attending either, but that's not what I have to
And
say.
we try to keep it with no
Money
fundraising.
changing hands.
I have a lot of kids, and my daughter and my son play sports, and fundraising to me is, I already pay my fee, that should be enough to cover it, that's the way I like to treat my team.
Okay. So Commissioner, I'm going to do it the right way. Commissioner Regal made the motion, Commissioner Burns seconded it.
Made the motion, no? I changed it.
I'm sorry, I'm going to go back the way we did. Commissioner Commissioner Regal made the motion.
Okay,
Commissioner Burns seconded it.
okay.
We're going to do a roll call vote. Commissioner Sylvia,
No.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Farias.
Yes.
Commissioner Regal,
Yes.
Commissioner De Silva, yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank you.
ladies and gentlemen.
So just so the board knows, I'm going to put in big bold letters in the minutes that this is a temporary situation with our
This is
town
for us.
players.
Thank you.
It will not go on past this league in July and the other league in August. So if it ever comes to question again and I'm not here. then
You better be.
Where you gonna be?
All right.
I'm going on vacation and I'm going with her.
You want to vacate?
Commissioner inquiries, number 5.
Okay, we're not done?
How many leagues
We're done.
Well,
have not turned in
Commissioner Sylvia.
all their paperwork?
Right now, I'm waiting for rosters from leagues that haven't started yet. Because they have people, their signups ended later. I have, I think everybody who has their information, anyone who was given a permit, actually awarded a permit, has their information in. If they have not submitted everything, their permit is incomplete, and they have not been given a written permit.
Thank
So
you.
is that the answer you were looking for?
Yep.
Do we need to accept, approve anybody else tonight? No? That's it? Okay.
I think we're good.
All right.
Motion to adjourn?
Commissioner excuse me. Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Burns, seconded by Commissioner Farias. All in favor?
Aye. That was the fastest second I've ever heard.